Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayanti Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtake. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Text 52 onwards. Vanani nadyo giryo varshani dvipa sindhava sarve kamadugha asan prajanam bharat rishabh. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of Bharat dynasty, during the reign of Lord Ramacandra, the forests, the rivers, the hills and the mountains, the states, the 7 islands and the 7 seas were all favorable in supplying the necessities of life for all living beings. So such was the rule of Lord Ram. Nadi vyadi jaraglani dukha shoka bhyaklamaha mrityuscha nichitam nasi dharame rajanya dhokshaje. When Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was a king of this world, all bodily and mental suffering, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. Can you believe it? All bodily and mental sufferings, disease, old age, fear, fatigue, distress, everything was not there. Nothing was there. There was even no death for those who did not want it. Now, somebody might say, oh, this is only mythological stories, it cannot be true. But Shukdev Goswami has no reason to write or say any lies in Srimad Bhagavatam. All these facilities existed because of Lord Ramachandra's presence as a king of the entire world. A similar situation could be introduced immediately. This is Prabhupada's writing. A similar situation could be introduced immediately, even in this age called Kali, the worst of all ages. It is said, Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Vata. Krishna descends in this Kali Yuga in the form of his holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. If we chant offenselessly, Ram and Krishna are still present in this age. The kingdom of Ram was immensely popular and beneficial. And the spreading of this Hare Krishna movement can immediately introduce a similar situation, even in this Kali Yuga. So people may ask, how come? I mean, this movement has been introduced for a long time now, almost more than 50 years. How come we still see all these problems? Disease, old age, even the ISKCON devotees are suffering. So how can we reconcile this statement of Prabhupada? Well, when Prabhupada says it is very much possible, so it is true. Only thing is, we have to chant offenselessly. This is what Prabhupada says. If we chant offenselessly, Ram and Krishna are still present in this age. The kingdom of Ram can be introduced immediately. And Prabhupada says, use this word immediately twice. Can be introduced immediately, even in this Kali Yuga. So such a powerful mantra is there, and that's why it's called Maha Mantra. But problem is we don't chant offenselessly. That's why we don't see these results that Prabhupada has mentioned. Text 54. Ek patni vratadharo rajarshi charita shachihi swadharmam grihi mediyam shikshayam swayamacharat. Lord Ramachandra took a vow to accept only one wife and have no connection with any other woman. He was a saintly king and everything in his character was good, untinged by qualities like anger. He taught good behavior for everyone, especially for householders, in terms of Varnashram Dharma. Thus, he taught the general public by his personal activities. Ek Patni Vrata, accepting only one wife, was a glorious example set by Lord Ramachandra. One should not accept more than one wife. In those days, of course, people did marry more than one wife. Even Lord Ramachandra's father accepted more wives than one. But Lord Ramachandra, as an ideal king, accepted only one wife, Mother Sita. When Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravan and the Rakshasas, Lord Ramachandra, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could have married hundreds and thousands of Sitas. But to teach us how faithful he was to his wife, he fought with Ravan and finally killed him. The Lord punished Ravan and rescued his wife to instruct men to have only one wife. Lord Ramachandra accepted only one wife and manifested sublime character, thus setting an example for householders. A householder should live according to the ideal of Lord Ramachandra, who showed how to be a perfect person. Being a householder or living with a wife and children is never condemned, provided one lives according to the regulative principles of Varnashram Dharma. Those who live in accordance with these principles, whether as householders, brahmacharis, or vanaprasthas, are all equally important. So Lord Ram accepted only one wife. And as Prabhupada said, when she was kidnapped, he could have married hundreds and thousands of wives, but he did not. So that's an ideal situation. Of course, his father, Maharaj Dashrath, accepted many wives. And so many other kings have accepted many wives. Their reason could be different, but Lord Ram, this ideal husband, he said, I have taken only one patni, Eka Patni Vrata. And that was the reason when Shrupnakha came, Lord Ram said, I have taken this vow, so I cannot accept any other wife. Although Kshatriyas, many times they marry more than one woman. But Lord Ram was different. And also when he was in this Dandakaranya forest, the sages there, they got attracted to the beauty of Lord Ram. And they came to Ram with the conjugal desires. One can say, how can they have conjugal feelings towards a man? But Lord Ram is Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sages develop that feeling. But Lord Ram told them, I have taken this vow of Ekapatni Vrata, so I cannot accept in any way your proposal. But in Dwapar Yuga, when I come as Krishna, I'll accept you all as my wives. So these sages, they took the form of gopis. One set of gopis, there are many sets of gopis. So they were one set of gopis, they're called Munichari gopis. So the sages who became gopis, they were called Munichari gopis, and Krishna accepted them all as his wives. So 16,108 were the wives that Krishna married openly. But all these gopis in Vrindavan, Krishna married them also in a different way. And he performed Ras Leela with them. So he accepted all of them because they all had the desire to have Krishna as their husband. And Krishna fulfilled everybody's desire, but not as Lord Ram. Premna anuvritya shilena prashriya vanata sati bhiya hriya cha bhavagya bhartu sita haran manaha. Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus, by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. As Lord Ramachandra is the ideal husband, Ek Patni Vrata, Mother Sita is the ideal wife. Such a combination makes family life very happy. Yadyadacharti Shreshtas. Example, whatever example a great man sets, common people follow. If the kings, the leaders, and the Brahmins, the teachers would set forth the example we receive from Vedic literature, the entire world would be heaven. Indeed, there would be no longer be hellish conditions within this material world. So the leaders have to set the right example for common men to follow. And Mother Sita, she's an ideal wife and a wonderful example for all the ladies to follow. She was very submissive, faithful, shy, and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. And that way she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. It wasn't like uh, she was living like a slave. This is a common mentality these days. The wives think, oh, if we are submissive and faithful, then we'll be treated like a slave. No. When there is proper understanding, trust, love between husband and wife, there's no slavery, just wonderful relationship. And especially when they both can live together a wonderful life as Vaishnava and Vaishnavi, as devotees of the Lord. And that's the best thing. And this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say, that whenever I come home, because my wife is taking care of the household affairs so nicely and worshipping the deities. And he says, when I come home, I feel like I've come to Vaikuntha. He was a grihastha, and he had, I think, 10 or 11 children. So that's what makes a difference when husband and wife are together in everything. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport, so 9th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramacandra. So we can start the next chapter. Lord Ramacandra rules the world. Text 1. Shri Shukavacha Bhagwan Atmanatmanam Rama Uttam Kalpake Sarva Devamayam Devam Ije Athacharya Vanmakhe. Shukdev Goswami said, thereafter the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramacandra, accepted an acharya and performed sacrifices, yagyas, with opulent paraphernalia. Thus he himself worshipped himself, for he is the Supreme Lord of all demigods. So yagya means one has to worship Lord Vishnu. Lord Ram is Lord Vishnu. Sarvar Arahanam Achyuteja. If Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is worshipped, then everyone is worshipped. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yatha Taror Mula Nishechane. As pouring water on the root of a tree nourishes the trunk, branches, twigs, and leaves, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead satisfies the demigods who are part of that Supreme Personality. Performing yajna involves worshipping the Supreme Lord. Here the Supreme Lord worship the Supreme Lord. Therefore it is said, Bhagwan Atmanatmanam Ije. The Lord worshipped himself by himself. This does not, of course, justify the Mayavad philosophy, by which one thinks himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The jiva, the living entity, is always different from the Supreme Lord. The living entities, Vivinnancha, never become one with the Lord, although Mayavadis sometimes imitate the Lord's worship of himself. So they say, we are also God, so aham, so I can worship myself. But that's not correct. Lord Ram worshipped himself because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we cannot do that. Lord Krishna meditated upon himself every morning as a grihastha. And similarly, Lord Ramacandra performed yagyas to satisfy himself. But this does not mean that an ordinary living being should imitate the Lord by accepting the process of ahangropasana. Such unauthorized worship is not recommended here. So that's why we have to learn the scriptures from a proper bona fide guru. Otherwise, we'll make mistakes, we'll have our own interpretations, which could lead to wrong results. Hotre adadad disham prachim brahmane dakshinam prabhu advaryave pratichim uttaram samagaya sah. Lord Ramchandra gave the entire east to the Hota priest, the entire south to the Brahma priest, the west to the Adhvari priest, and the north to the Udgata priest, the reciter of the Samaveda. In this way, he donated his kingdom. So he gave the whole kingdom to a different priest. Thereafter, thinking that because the Brahmins have no material desires, they should possess the entire world, Lord Ramchandra delivered the land between the east, west, north, and south to the Acharya. So he gave everything in charity. After thus giving everything in charity to the Brahmins, Lord Ramchandra retained only his personal garments and ornaments. And similarly, the queen, Mother Sita, was left with only her nose ring and nothing else. Means in the ornament, she had left only with the nose ring. They gave up everything. That's an example of charity. Tetu Brahmana Devasya Vatsalyam Viksha Sanstutam Prita Klinnadhiyas Tasmai Pratyar Pedam Babhashire. All the Brahmins who were engaged in the various activities of the sacrifice were very pleased with Lord Ramchandra, who was greatly affectionate and favorable to the Brahmins. Thus, with melted hearts, they returned all the property received from him and spoke as follows. In the previous chapter, it was said that the prajas, the citizens, strictly followed the system of Varnashram Dharma. The Brahmins acted exactly like Brahmins, the Kshatriyas exactly like Kshatriyas, and so on. Therefore, when Lord Ramchandra gave everything in charity to the Brahmins, being qualified, wisely considered that Brahmins are not meant to possess property to make a profit from it. So this is Brahman. They're not supposed to possess a property to make profit. The qualifications of a Brahman are given in Bhagavad Gita. Shamo damas tapaha shocham. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmins work. The Brahminical character offers no scope for possessing land and ruling citizens. These are the duties of a Kshatriya. Therefore, although the Brahmins did not refuse Lord Ramchandra's gift, after accepting it, they returned it to the king. So they are also true Brahmins. The Brahmins were so pleased with Lord Ramchandra's affection toward them that their hearts melted. They saw that Lord Ramchandra, aside from being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was fully qualified as a Kshatriya and was exemplary in character. One of the qualifications of a Kshatriya is to be charitable. A Kshatriya or ruler levies taxes upon the citizens, not for his personal sense gratification, but give charity in suitable cases. Dhanam Ishvara Bhava. On one hand, Kshatriyas have the propensity to rule, but on the other, they were very liberal with charity. When Maharaj Yudhishthira gave charity, he engaged Karna to take charge of distributing it. Karna was very famous as Data Karna. The word Data refers to one who gives charity very liberally. The kings always kept a large quantity of food grains in stock, and whenever there was any scarcity of grains, they would distribute grains in charity. A Kshatriya's duty is to give charity, and a Brahman's duty is to accept charity, but not more than needed to maintain body and soul together. Therefore, when the Brahmins were given so much land by Lord Ramchandra, they returned it to him and were not greedy. So this is the ideal situation. Brahmins were not greedy, they were satisfied with very little, whatever is needed to keep the body and soul together. And the Kshatriyas, they were following their dharma to give charity. And also, as Prabhupada mentioned, that Kshatriyas would keep a large quantity of food grains in the stock because they are the administrators, they are the rulers. So they want to make sure everybody has everything. in their kingdom. Even in scarcity, they should have everything. Aprattam nastvaya kimnu bhagwan bhuvaneshwara yanno antar hridayam vishya tamo hansi swarochisha. O Lord, you are the master of the entire universe. What have you not given to us? You have entered the core of our hearts and dissipated the darkness of our ignorance by your effulgence. This is the supreme gift. We do not need a material donation. So Brahmins are telling Lord Ram this thing. When Dhruv Maharaj was offered a benediction by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he replied, "Oh my Lord, I am fully satisfied. I do not need any material benediction." Similarly, when Prahlad Maharaj was offered a benediction by Lord Narasimhadev, he also refused to accept it and instead declared that a devotee should not be like a vanik, a mercantile man who gives something in exchange for some profit. One who becomes a devotee for some material profit is not a pure devotee. Brahmins are always enlightened by the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the heart. And because the Brahmins and Vaishnavas are always directed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are not greedy for material wealth. What is absolutely necessary they possess, but they do not want an expanded kingdom. An example of this was given by Vamandev. Acting as a brahmachari, Lord Vamandev wanted only 3 paces of land. Aspiring to possess more and more for personal sense gratification is simply ignorance. And this ignorance is conspicuous by its absence from the heart of a Brahman or Vaishnava. So very nice teachings for us also to follow. Not to work so much that we want to possess more and more for personal sense gratification. Even Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Instruction, Atyahara Prayasascha. And this is Shadvir Bhaktir Vinashyati. If we do that, these 6 items, Atyahara Prayasascha, Prajalpa Niyamagraha, Jan Sangasha Lolyam Cha, Shadvir Bhaktir Vinashyati. So this will destroy the bhakti. The little fledgling bhakti that we have in our heart, it will be destroyed by attempting to possess more and more and working so hard to get it. Of course, it doesn't mean we don't work and we don't put in our effort. We have to work, we have to maintain our families, we have to take care of emergency situations, we have to save for the future emergency or retirement program. And everybody's needs and everybody's requirements are different. But whatever little we can get away with, we should try that. And depending upon everybody's needs are different, so there's no one size fits everyone. But we should just try to simplify our life, simple living and high thinking. And this is what the Brahmins did over here. They gave everything back to Lord Ram. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Ramaya Kuntamedase Uttam Shlokudharyaya Nyasta Dandarpitangre. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have accepted the Brahmins as a worshipable deity. Your knowledge and memory are never disturbed by anxiety. You are the chief of all famous persons within this world, and your lotus feet are worshipped by sages who are beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. O Lord Ramacandra, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Shukdev Goswami continued. I guess the story will go towards that washerman, so we'll take up this story tomorrow. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so we'll stop there. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna.